First thing I saw in the chat was Shiva Shampoo going all poetic. There it is. Hey guys, welcome to the new live. Totally anticipated, didn't know I was going to do it until I was talking to somebody the other day, and that somebody was Dawn. Asked me a question, and I just took off. Let's see. I'm riding alone today. Everybody's on their respective missions right now. We got several people doing several things for Archaix, trying to bring things together. Like this cup of tea, which brought a bunch of herbs, honey, medicinal stuff I can't pronounce, things I have no idea what's going in my body, but I've been told that it's all for the good. All right. Get a few more people in this chat. I don't know if you guys like the idea of this or not, but I've got Big John on a mission right now. He's going through the entire Phoenix Phenomenon playlist. That's a lot of videos. And he's removing all the intros and all the outros and all the extraneous verbiage, and he's only isolating the cuts where the raw data is, where I'm explaining and showing things about the Phoenix Phenomenon. We already know out of like 80 videos, we're probably going to end up with 200 and something cuts. And I'm going to put that together in either 1, 2, or 3 2- and 3-hour presentations, so people can get all the Phoenix phenomena data all in 1 or 2, downloads. It's a lot of hours of content, but a lot can be removed because it's been repetitive. All the intros and outros being removed also allows us to focus in on that. So for those of you who are like interested in that, we're going to do that with the Anunna files as well, and isolate all the gems and then put it long. It'll be like a long video, and you'll see me wearing about 30 different t-shirts, one for each video. And I'll be giving the presentation, but I'll be doing it in chronological order, and we'll just be using all these different pieces of these videos to do this. And it was somebody else's idea, but I thought it was a really good one. We're going to end up doing it, taking the information out of a lot of podcasts. I've done over 100 live videos and podcasts where I have freestyled a lot of information on different topics, and we're going to now start putting all those together into videos where you can watch a video and get the whole idea right there. Here it is. And, by the end of the video, you can either accept it or not. So I hope you guys like that idea, but that's one thing we're doing right now. And I did post my very first shorts video. I just took a pre-existing video we had in Archaix, and I ran it through the little shorts filter they've got. It was approved, and there you go. There you have it. Meanwhile, how's my audio? I'm feeling better. My throat's getting better. Man, I've come to... Thank you, Jahar Ali. Audio's fantastic. Dawn, Victoria, Rihad, thank you. Thank you, guys. Yeah, a lot of people don't get the live notifications. That's not on my end, and sometimes it's not even on your end. You guys know it's not just you. It's not just Archaix. I'm not going to try and convey to you guys that I'm being singled out. I'm telling you, across YouTube, it's very common. People just don't get their notifications. Yeah. Man. Huge shift in deep state assets. Oh my God, I've been telling you guys. Remember 2 years ago, I released a series of predictive videos telling you guys that the conservatives were going to do a sweeping takeover. Man, that's all that's happening. I don't know what news you listen to. You need to listen to Dr. Steve Turley. Got a long list of all the Democrats who are jumping ship to the Republican Party. Got a long list of all the hosts of different news agencies that are now turning on the leftist liberal. Even the leftist liberal whole paradigm is now cannibalizing itself. There is a liberal civil war going on right now, and a bunch of them are jumping ship. Everything I put in those predictive videos are coming to pass. All the Republican conservatives are getting all the super majorities, all the majorities. You guys, it was just been a delay. It's been a slight delay. but all the predictions are coming to pass. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So it just goes to show you that not only is the isometric phenomenon real, but so is the newer observation on wave diffusion, which is the ripples in a pool of water as they get further and further away from the epicenter on either side, all the way around. As the ring waves get bigger and bigger, they also spread out. And this is something I had never taken into consideration of, but it's the exact same thing in the isometric phenomenon as well. And that's why events of 2020 bled into 2021, and 2021 bled into 2022, and events that were predicted for 2022 have bled into 2023. This is what's going on. From the isometric epicentral year of 1998, we are in the flattening of the waves, those waves now, and it can easily be seen now. And so, yeah, the deep state is already pulling their assets. They started with Bill Maher, however you say his name. He's one of the first. And then you guys know Tulsi Gabbard, she jumped ship. They try to portray that she's a pillar of morality. And now listen, the deep state is moving their assets because the ship is sinking. So those were just the first two. The list is grown of all these deep state assets that have been pushing the liberal and globalist agenda, all jumping ship to the Republican Party, because it's crazy, but you got to recognize it for what it is. These are deep state assets these are all the rats that are jumping from a sinking ship. So they're just putting them in positions to get them ready for their next puppet moves. You remember the marionette? It's all marionettes. Puppet master's way up here controlling all the strings. It's a puppet show. Yeah, guys, hit that like button. Hit that like button. Let me see what's going on in this chat before I start this Placebo Effect video. And you guys know I'm by myself today, so I can't possibly read all this chat. There's just no way. Just no way. So I'll look at a few of these. Hey, Wendy Flores. You never get notifications, huh? Oh, yeah, you like my shirt? Yeah. A little something different. I don't know about black elderberry, but I've been black something. I've been drinking some black something. I can't remember what it is. Black root, black bean, black something. I don't remember what it is. You know what? Black seed oil. That's what it is. I got my pills. Black seed oil and curcumin. You guys know I can't pronounce all this stuff. Oh man, I was troll slaying this morning. Get up first thing in the morning and hit all these triggered people. I've been calling them out, guys. I'm not being quiet. I've been calling them out. People come into my channel and they get triggered and they see the Phoenix Phenomenon videos and they automatically say something completely antithetical to all the evidence. I know from what they have said, they don't even know what they're talking about, haven't even looked at the material. They vaguely watched maybe a video or a piece of a video, and they have this huge extrapolated opinion. So I've been dissecting them. I've been telling them, hey, check this out. All you got to do is set up a time and we'll debate. Or you can choose your favorite 3 heroes, whoever you know across YouTube that's willing to debate this deal. I don't care. I just know that we need a fair moderator. Because I don't care if I'm debating 3 men at the same time. I got to have equal play. They have to share. If they're on the same side, they need to share their time allotment among themselves. And may the best man, answer. But when it comes to my turn, you got to give me the fair amount of time to speak. And I know that I'm willing to debate anybody on the Phoenix Phenomenon. I'm willing to debate Graham Hancock, Randall Carson, Billy Carson, you know what? I'm willing to debate, what's his name? The one I used to think he was level-headed. I used to think this dude was level-headed. I used to think he was just reporting basically what he heard from other people. I no longer believe that. I've been listening too much to him lately. Joe Rogan, no. This man has gone to the other side. He is pushing that 9,500 BC agenda just like Graham Hancock, just like all of them. I am 100% willing to debate Graham Hancock and a whole panel of authors that can help Graham Hancock, me against all of them, on the fact that Atlantis could have never been 9,500 BC. Hell yeah. Line that shit up. I'm ready for that. But I know they won't. They'd be a damn fool to do that. But I'm ready. I'm ready if you send them emails out to them boys. Let them know. I'm on the attack. Well, that ain't the only theory. That's just the one that gets under my skin because so many people, you know, when you have the ear of millions of people like Joe Rogan, you would think you would fact check a little more before you just accept this BS these men have been blowing up your ass, because that's what they're doing. So, but now Joe Rogan's blowing it so hard and so much, it's like I can't even take him seriously anymore. Care what his opinions are on all these other topics anymore. This is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. But that's not what the subject matter of this video is. You guys know I like to rant before we actually get into the subject matter because we're waiting for more and more people to pile in. And then Elon Musk comes around. Watch this man turn around and try to hit me with some type of order to cease and desist using the term AIX. Now that his new XAI corporation is now legal. It's absolutely ridiculous. XAI. I told you guys, he's a confidence man. Yep, whole bunch of them have flipped. Ann Edwards, a whole bunch of them have flipped. But that's not them. It's not them. Their controllers in the deep state are telling them to jump ship now. From the beginning, I've been telling you guys that the deep state was going to sacrifice the Democrats and the socialists to put the ultra-Christian conservatives in a position of power because they need them in power to move to the next level. Guys, the next level is coming and you ain't gonna like it. You thought liberalism went out of control. Wait till you see what it's going to be like under a bunch of people who think they're allied to God and they can justify anything that they do to you as being as being supported by God. It's just as bad. It's terrible. What religious fanaticism in government can do. Hell yeah. Yeah, you guys think those Superdomes, they're going to be playing 15 years from now, they're going to be playing football in Superdomes? Hell no. Hell no. There's going to be whole platforms set up where they're going to be doing executions. Man, you better pay attention. You better pay attention to what Archaix is trying to tell you. It says the pendulum is in full swing right now, and they are now removing all socialist and Democrat obstacles to all this. They're removing them fast. Guys, you got to listen to people like Dr. Steve Turley. He's got his finger on the pulse. This man's got his finger on the pulse. He's naming names, and he's showing you where they're all jumping ship coming to the other side. And what's really scary is that the ultra-conservatives are just opening their arms to them. Oh, yeah, come on over here. Come on, guys. In a real world, people who have political, are on totally different political ideologies and upbringings and stuff, they're not going to embrace their enemies after their enemies have had their foot on their neck for the past 50 years. It's not how real world works. No. One group of controllers is telling them, hey, man, y'all need to start jumping ship and getting over, while they're sacrificing all the other ones. At the same time, the controllers over here are telling the conservatives in the deep state, who are also puppets, telling them, hey, man, y'all need to let these people in. Now, don't do too much criticism on them. You know, we're not going to make a big deal about them jumping ship and all that. Guys, this is all smoke and mirrors, and every bit of it was in detail predicted in all my videos 2 years ago and 18 months ago. So you can go back and watch those predictions videos, and you can see 100% conservative, ultra-Christian Reich takeover in the United States of America. Every bit of that's predicted, and you're seeing it unfold right now. Yeah, 2024 is going to be amazing. But 2029, 2030, 2031, yeah, you're gonna be wanting Democrats and liberals to be in positions of power again. All right. No, Alfred, I disagree with you, bro. I don't even know who you are. But you're saying here that Rogan is just a mouthpiece. I disagree with you, man. I used to believe the same thing too. But no, you're not just a mouthpiece. When you're parroting and pushing out a false paradigm based off zero evidence, you're saying it because all these big names are saying it. Now you're supporting an agenda. Yeah, man. I used to think it was a free thinker. No, he's not. Joe Rogan could not have me on his podcast with Graham Hancock, and by the time I'm done with Hancock, Joe Rogan cannot ever admit that Atlantis was 9,500 BC. He couldn't do it to a whole population of triers of fact who would sit there and be listening to it. Because by the time I'm done, I promise you, 99.9% of the people listening are going to agree with me. I don't care how glib Graham Hancock can get. When it comes to the elements of the Atlantis story, I got them down, and I know exactly what the archaeology and the anthropology and the intextual clues infer. I know exactly how you chronologically apply all this. The chronal markers are very specific for the 14th, 13th, and 12th centuries BC, and no other time period could that story have ever unfolded according to the contents of the narrative of Atlantis that we received from Plato secondhand from Solon. No, there's no one in the world that's going to stand before me in a podcast and ever convince other people that Atlantis was really 9,500 BC. What they're going to have to do is pull a whole bunch of data and evidence of all kinds from other sources that something bad happened in 9,500 BC. And I won't even argue that. I'll let them talk the whole time because we're not talking about Atlantis anymore. They can't cite Atlantis data for that. No. Anybody can pull a whole bunch of scientific material together and say something bad happened in 9,500 BC. I could care less. There wasn't nobody back then that was recording data. There are no historical records. Not one monument in the world exists. Not one text. Not one effigy. Nothing. No writing at all to have transferred this knowledge exists in the world today that goes back that far. You guys remember the chart I drew shows the entire human history is this big on the chart. And then what Graham Hancock wants you to believe is way back over here was Atlantis. And there's nothing in the intervening period which two historical records for the world could fit in. It's so retarded. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But let's move on. Not worried about that. It's adult fantasy is what it is. It is. It's adult fantasy. I may as well debate the Galactic Federation. I'm getting a lot of newer people in Archaix that just don't understand that this is a fact-driven platform. Archaix is going to deal with the facts. And I tell people all the time that, listen, I'm not here to tell you, I'm going to show you. Because if something is true, it can always be seen from multiple different vantage points. That's a major tenet in Archaix. I'm going to stick to that. So when you come to this channel and you start arguing with me in the comment section, and all your data is pulled from people who consider themselves as channelers, I'm telling you now, there isn't a single person in the world who claims they get their data from channeling that could ever support that data in any way. You have to take it on hearsay. So basically, what you're admitting to yourself and to everybody else is that you have faith in that individual. And that individual not lying to you, because there are no bibliographic citations, there's no monuments, there's nothing for you to verify. You have accepted hearsay, so you better trust the source. I don't trust any of them. That's why I don't talk to anybody. I don't podcast with anybody who tells me that they're into channeling. You don't know what they're channeling. You have no idea what kind of data is being channeled. Some people think that Nostradamus through hypnotic regression was channeling, and he may have, but he got a lot of stuff wrong. Where'd he get that information from? So anyway, rant's over with. I have no idea how many people are. Oh, here we go. All right, I already got 1,000 people in attendance, 400, almost 500 likes. I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all who take the time to do that. Pretty sure I do have 500 haters in here, but that's okay. Because all it takes is about 10 to a dozen people in my chat, and I'll do a whole presentation for them because that's how I started. I started doing live videos and there wasn't but 30 or 40 people in the whole chat. So, Christina the Astonishing, howdy, folks. My chance for foreplay. That's crazy. I'll get that. So, yeah, it's thank you for that. I don't know who put that up there. Oh, that cowgirl. Bags packed, ready to cut and run. Thank you, cowgirl. Appreciate that. So, guys, we need to take this real seriously about the placebo effect. And I know many of you know exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about the placebo effect. Don't worry about my cough, guys. It's getting taken care of. So, you guys already know that many medical tests have been done. Anybody can do their own homework. And some of you who listen to me come from a medical background or a homeopathic background. You understand what I'm talking about. The placebo effect has been so widely documented. There are so many books about the actual individual scientific tests that have been done. And I'm going to review just some of these so you guys can understand how profound this relationship is between the psyche and the simulation. You got to understand this connection, because when you see what's going on around you, you're going to be able to utilize this data and reverse that polarity. Meaning, instead of living a reactive mindset and these external placebos affecting you, creating your reality as it stands right now, by the end of this video, you're going to become aware of these placebos that are unfolding daily around you, because I'm going to itemize them for you. And then I'm going to explain how you reverse this situation and you become a projector instead of living in a reactive mode. It's going to change. This right here is a game changer. And Dawn is absolutely correct. I was shocked when she and I were having a conversation the other day, and she had asked a question and it led into an answer that had me talking about the placebo effect. And in mid-sentence, I stopped because it dawned on me. I have never, ever divulged this information to anybody. And out of having almost 500 videos, it shocked me. I was like, I can't believe I've never talked about this. This is something I should have covered a long time ago. But you know what? Everything happens in its time. Everything happens for a reason. Maybe this is unfolding now because I had to get that rant out about Joe Rogan and Graham Hancock first. Free the air a little bit, because we're operating on RAM too, and sometimes I got to free up that space. So that's what we're doing here. So I'm going to tell you now, the placebo effect, guys, it's used by the military. It's used by the Fortune 500 companies against you. It's used in marketing and advertising every single day. YouTube uses the placebo effect on you every single day. Oh, yes, it does. But going back to the simplest common denominators, let's look at the simple things. Before we introduce the complex, let's make sure everybody's on board. So when it comes to pain relief, this is the single largest understanding people have when it comes to the placebo effect, is when it concerns pain relief. We're all aware of the studies where two control groups they have migraine headaches or they have back pains, and the doctors or the people conducting the tests will give one control group real medicine, real pain reliever for their head. The other control group will be given fake tablets, artificial tablets that taste like real Tylenols or Advil or whatever. They're given a placebo. Sometimes that placebo comes with additional data, such as the control group that got the regular like Tylenol 3 are told, hey, this is Tylenol 3, it's got codeine in it. Anybody got a problem with codeine? Okay, cool. All 5 of those people in that control group take that. Within 2 hours in the control group, they're interviewed and they say, hey, yeah, man, I've had relief. Okay. But all 5 members, almost all 5 members, sometimes it's 4, but most of the time it's all of them, in the other control group that were given the placebo were also told, hey, we gave the other group just the old style Tylenols, but we're giving you guys the new upgraded Tylenol 4 we haven't even released on the market. This is almost instant relief. Within 10 minutes of being in your stomach, your headache's already going to be disappearing. This additional data is entered into the informed fields of those who listened, and they took it, and they swallowed it, and they believe what they're told. And they took chalk pills, or whatever they are, and there's absolutely no medicinal value. But it's already been documented hundreds, maybe thousands of times all over the world. Placebos are effective, and they're often more effective than the real medicines. And that's a clue as to what's really happening. So when it comes to these pills, you can Google placebos. And you're going to come up with a whole host of books and articles and all kinds of tests that have been conducted. And this is something that I advise you to do after this video, so you can see how viable this information is to you personally. But it's not just pills and pain relief. We're talking about things like depression. Even sham therapies have been proven to work when the recipient is convinced that they're receiving some type of new invented therapy that's 100% effective, and everybody it's ever been used on, it's worked. People absorb the fiction, and it's like spiritual alchemy. In their own personal life, it becomes a fact. This is the placebo phenomenon, and it's happening all the time. But it's not just headaches and backaches and depression. It's also been shown to relieve not only anxieties and different psychoses, but even military-induced PTSD has also been shown to be assuaged by the usage of placebos. And that's very interesting, because now we are moving from the physical to the psychological. If the placebo works on the physical anatomy, and it can be shown that the placebo works on psychological conditions, then we're looking at a phenomenon that can work for everything. And this is the deep understanding I want you to take away from this video. And you will by the time I'm done with this list. So there have been studies for things as simple as irritable bowel syndrome. Here's something you just can't control. People eat, they have irritable bowel syndrome, and it's messing them up, and then they're given these fake medicines, told they're real. They're told, hey man, this right here cures IBS. IBS isn't nothing. This right here cures IBS. Every single patient that's ever taken this reported that it cured them. And then these people take this fake medicine, and their IBS is completely controlled, and they have hardly no problems. Placebo, 100%, that individual took a lie and turned it into the truth. So this tea is delicious. But we can go even deeper, because there are things that affect people that are neurological, not just psychological, and not just common ailments of the anatomical body. But what about Parkinson's disease? This isn't Jason making this up. There have been tests where the placebo effect was absolutely effective in allowing people to maintain better motor control when they suffered from long-term Parkinson's disease. What? The placebo effect actually works on the physical body, the psychological aspect, and the neurological aspect of people. This is amazing because we're seeing one system applying to basically all aspects of the human experience. One system. So when it comes to the respiratory system, the placebo effect has been effective against those who suffer from asthma. And it's not just asthma. I have a list here. Insomnia. Those who have suffered years of insomnia were cured by a placebo. All scientifically documented. That's amazing. It kind of makes you wonder why placebo effect isn't something that's more on the common vernacular. Why aren't more people talking about it? Why you just unless you go searching for that information, it's not easy to find. Why isn't it more widely out there? I'm going to tell you why. It's called pharmaceutical companies. They don't want you knowing about this placebo effect phenomenon, because that's what it is. It's a phenomenon, and it's the key to understanding the architecture of the relationship between the personal informed field and the larger field of the simulacrum itself. Remember, I told you guys many times, it's a relationship between the personal and the oversoul by virtue of the field. So the fields exchange information. This is spiritual alchemy. This is how you turn fictions into fact. So another real good example of the placebo effect has been shown in the case of really acute and severe menopausal symptoms. When women were told that there was a cure, and they were in it when they were told in confidence, as if they were not to allow others to know about a new secretive medication, they were relieved of their menopausal symptoms. Again, here is the power of the psyche over the physical anatomy. Again, athletic performance. Athletes who were given a placebo treatment have often reported better performance. Yeah. We're not talking now. Now we're adding a whole new element. We're not talking about relieving pain, curing or suppressing symptoms. We're not talking about the psychology or neurology. We're not talking about the respiratory system, the physical anatomy. Now we're talking about performance enhancement was delivered to people because they believed in the placebo. They took something that was fake and they transmuted it into something real by their actions. That athlete got out there and did whatever he did, the high jump. He felt he went a little bit higher because something that was given to him right before the exercise. That athlete ran the distance faster and farther than normal. And in his heart, he knew it was by virtue of something that was given to him, unknowing that it was a placebo. That's a whole new added element here, performance enhancement. So, basically, by leveraging the power of belief and expectation, those using placebos on the unwitting, they can basically enhance their performance, their operations. Guys, this is super soldier shit. That's where we're going with this. Remember guys, if anything can be shown to be true to the smallest degree, then it's probably true to the greatest as well. So the placebo effect isn't something that can just heal. Apparently, it can be weaponized as well. I don't advocate that, but we can't deny that it's already happening, and it's happening on a daily basis. So we know managers can use the placebo effect to boost employee morale and motivation. That too is a placebo effect. Just basically just an upbeat conversation from a manager who you get your paycheck from and who knows the direction of a company or a business. And the people listening to him, his pep talk, is also a placebo. So this allows us to understand that the phenomenon can be transferred by voice, by intention. The phenomenon does not require a physical placebo because the phenomenon itself can be delivered in non-physical means. So music can be a placebo, and it often is for many of us. And so we believe that music can heal us, and by virtue of that belief, music that we listen to makes us feel better. And because we feel better, we feel like we've been healed. And because we feel like we've been healed, we feel better. And because we feel better, we feel like we've been healed. It's a feedback loop. So that too is placebo. So the very fact that like incorporating elements that create a perception of high quality and effective training in like a soldiers or employees to a company, if they go to a training session and they feel that they have been that I'm talking about some very highly specialized sales techniques have been given to them. And they know, wow, every company I've worked for in the past, they never taught me anything like this. So some psychologist is in the room and they're and teaching these new sales techniques and explaining how people will react to them when they do this. This too is a placebo for those who believe it. And then by believing in these new directives, they go out and execute them. And because they believe in that new deal, they're actually taking action. Other people they come in contact with them respond accordingly the way the psychologist in the room told them they'd respond. When they see this confirmation, they believe even more in the formula. Therefore, the formula becomes rote, and they do it more. It becomes a feedback loop. More people confirm that the sales technique is working, and it becomes their feedback loop. But it was a placebo that got it started from the beginning. Placebos come in many, many forms. So, uh, in the marketing world, the Fortune 500 companies have gotten genius at attaching different types of significance to their brand, to the items that they sell. And they have this feel-good aspect. And all their advertising focuses on this feel-good aspect of whatever it is they're trying to sell. That too is placebo. Because none of that's really true. They're selling something that's inanimate. They're selling something that objectively on its own is nothing but a liquid in a bottle. They're selling something that's wrapped in styrofoam in a cardboard box. All these attachments of music, emotion, color, word associations, all these things that are attached to that product, you respond to. I respond to it. And we get these feel-good sensations about that product. That's a placebo, and it works on a lot of us a lot of the time. So they're geniuses. They're geniuses. They've been doing this for a long time, a long time. And it can go from the way that the packaging of a product can be so intricate and so beautiful that it's a heavy inference that what's inside that package must be of great value and utility, even though it might be a piece of shit. The product might be a piece of crap, but the packaging alone is so exquisite, the inference becomes a placebo. And people buy into it, and they pay the higher prices for the inferior product because of the way it looks and feels. So that's a placebo. Another popular placebo are the endorsements from famous people, from trusted people, personages, celebrities. These endorsements, people remember, oh, okay, they have different emotions attached to different celebrities. Oh, wow, that celebrity there's been in like 12 of my favorite movies. That's a feel-good nostalgia. They're using your own emotions against you. They know. That's why actors and actresses are very carefully picked when they're used to push certain products. Yeah, it has everything to do with what movies they're in, how popular those movies were, how people will receive them. They are using personalities as placebos, and it works. And it works. So, you know, you know, you know what buzzwords are. When a company uses buzzwords like all natural or salt free, and they use buzzwords that people resonate with, these as well become placebos for a lot of people because they associate that product with all the advantages and safeties and everything that those buzzwords entail. So that marketing technique becomes a placebo. So check my chat real quick. I got to rely on my moderators today. I don't have Matt gunslinging at my side right now. Check my chat. Thank you for posting that mailing address, Johara. Pamela. Man, I need to go. Chat's moving fast. I got to go all the way to the bottom of it. Square peg divergent. We gotta get together. I'm real busy, but I can make time. We gotta do a video on wave diffusion. I keep seeing her in the chat. I don't see her right now though. 4Jacks, thank you. So, yeah, buzzwords are another. They're another aspect of the Phoenix phenomenon. But so is exclusivity. Exclusivity is like when a company gives you a limited time offer. It's a limited time offer. Therefore, the implication is already that whatever they're selling or whatever service they're offering is so valuable, they're only willing to offer it for a limited time. That totally puts out an inference of a value that's much higher than it actually is. This is a placebo. People fall for it all the time. All the time. So it makes the product extra special. Another placebo, and I know you guys are familiar with these placebos as well. It's very popular in marketing for them to show before and after pictures. I did the same thing back when I owned a company called Woodlands Residential Pressure Wash, and I used to pressure wash all these driveways and the sides, the facades of buildings, and I used to show my before and after pictures. And they look beautiful, but that is placebo for some people because you haven't actually done the job for them. All you've done is shown pictures of a job that was done before and after, but there's still no evidence you did it. It's a placebo. People fall for it. It's not necessarily an evil one. I've never inferred that placebos are evil, but it's a phenomenon that's being used for both good and evil. There's no doubt. No doubt. Another, yeah, I need a placebo for my coffin. You're right. So another, what is that? Oh, another tactic that becomes placebo is when you're looking at products and you pull one off the shelf and you're instantly drawn to a bright color. And when you look at that bright color, it says original price is about 30 to 40% more than the asking price. That automatically infers that the product is far more valuable than what you're going to have to pay for it. Placebo kicks in instantly. It's the same phenomenon. It's the same thing with showing a large number of testimonials. When they show a whole large number of testimonials, and you see this, it becomes a psychological thing. You believe in it. You look at it and say, "Wow, this many people. I understand one or two, but this many people, and got one famous endorsement. Yeah, this product must be awesome, or this service must be awesome." You have no evidence of its awesomeness at all. All you did was read what was on a label, but placebo effect kicks in because you buy that product, you take it home, and it's awesome. So it's These are just little light examples of, you know, these different types of endorsements and the way marketers and advertisements tap into this type of phenomenon. So, um, it's the same thing with attractive models and showing aspirational, you know, lifestyle scenes, showing awesome houses, showing all the things that you want in life that you don't have, making you feel these associations, making you feel these emotions and stuff. And then you buy the product and you take it home and you've basically deceived yourself. The product, the vacuum cleaner works excellently, but the vacuum cleaner vacuumed like any other vacuum cleaner. It vacuumed, but to you, you have basically imported a special significance to how that vacuum cleaner actually did a better job than any other vacuum cleaner you've ever had before. Yeah, the placebo effect is real. We do it to ourselves every day with products. And only weeks later or months later do we see the evidence that it's no different than anything else. It's no different than any other vacuum cleaner we ever bought before. But then again, you haven't been dwelling on it from day to day, so it's easy to understand in retrospect the mistake you made. But while you're living it, it's very hard to see that. It's very hard to see that. So the media, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, BBC, you know them all. Mainstream legacy media. You already know the media feeds us a false version of reality every single day, and people fall for it. And because they believe in the very things that are being steadily pumped into their minds over days go by, weeks go by, months go by, years go by, and they steady saturated with all this, the placebo effect kicks in and they begin transmuting what was fiction into fact, and the world around them begins to assume the very properties of the world that was promoted through the media only months or years before. It's the exact same thing. The placebo effect is weaponized by the media. It's also utilized by the military, not just the U.S. military, all of them. There are special programs where they get certain men, they test them, and they run them through a gauntlet. Then they do blood tests on them. Then they set them aside, and they start putting them together, and they drill them with questions. And then the soldier himself is very confused. Like, what's going on? Why did they take me out of my why did they take me out of my division and out of my platoon? Why did they put me in this facility? They say I'm still in the U.S. Army. Why do they do this to me? The next thing you know, they start meeting these other guys who are in the same program. And then the word gets out among some of them, hey man, we're being, they found something else. They found something out about us. We're very different than the other soldiers. And then they start fostering this. They start putting this together. Next thing you know, the military has a special branch of guys who can run faster, see farther, fight harder, be immune to pain, do all super soldiers. They can do all these things. Why? Because they have been given all kinds of clues as to their true identity, force fed to them all by subliminal implantation. All these very clever ways that these military personnel use the power of suggestion over a period of time, and within 7 or 8 months, an ordinary 22-year-old kid, by the time he's 24, believes that he is able to do all these things. And they run him through the tests, and by virtue of being told that he was special, he becomes special. And he begins to assume the very characteristics that his military handlers told him that he possessed from the very beginning. This is very real, and it's not just the United States military that employs this practice. There are special elite soldiers in many militaries, and this is how they're put together. It's not just their own personal stats. They are selected because of their ability to be subjected to a whole new phenomenon. Yeah, where the mind goes, the body follows. I've told you guys that many, many times. That is the weaponization of the placebo effect. So the placebo effect can also be weaponized against an enemy host, against an enemy population. You already know what this is. This is psychological warfare 101. Yeah. We have many instances in the historical record when different generals or commanders or dictators leading a host at nighttime, they had their soldiers spread out and light more fires than there were actually there. So the spies of the enemy camp would sneak close and at nighttime look, and they would see all the hills for miles covered in campfires. But truth be told, there's only one person at each fire, but they can't see that in the dark. From a distance, all they can see is the campfire. This was a very popular method of psychological warfare. The enemy would become debilitated. They would lose morale. The person using the placebo effect actually created the situation of the enemy losing power, losing the will to fight, and maybe even physically reacting to the stimuli, such as ordering his own troops to retreat. Yeah, that's the placebo effect as well. So this the placebo effect, it's far more complex than all this, and all this is very it's an oversimplification, but you get the idea. So I'm telling you guys often, if anything can be shown to be true in one aspect of something, it's probably true in all aspects of that same thing. So if in your personal life you can transmute fiction into fact, then why even wait for the external stimuli? Why live a reactive mindset? Why wait for situations to develop by which you can invest belief, by which you can transmute by action into something to develop into your life? Why wait? If everything we know about the placebo effect now is true, and I believe it is. I don't believe I've lied to you at this video at all. Anybody can Google all these research studies, case studies. If this is true, then it's equally true how easy it is that we can go ahead and begin the modification of our own personal reality by ourselves without the need for an external stimuli. We don't need it. Remember, I say this a lot too. If we believe that the end is secure, then all steps leading up to it are secure as well. If we believe that all we have to do is move forward and the destination will reveal itself, then that means we don't need to know what the destination is at the start of the journey. We just need to start moving. When we adopt this mindset, this is how we bring all the things that we want in this life to us, because we have not told the oversoul how to do it. It has unlimited resources. It knows exactly where in the holofield everything that you want is located and how best to assemble everything to bring it into a reality tunnel, into a physical experience for you. It knows how best to do that. It's the ultimate transmuter. So if it's true that the placebo effect can so rapidly change an individual because they believe in it, then why don't you just believe in yourself and the relationship you have with the oversoul and then build whatever future you want? Why not move forward knowing that everything you want is already there, and you just have to move forward so you can start coming into contact with it? That's the beauty of the whole placebo effect phenomenon. You don't need an external source to give you data that you invest your faith in. You can invest your faith in yourself, your own informed field's ability to move forward and attract the very things that you want in life. Because if you're moving forward with this belief, then you also know that the simulacrum itself, which is an extension of the oversoul, is going to begin manifesting those very things into your life, not because you deserve it, not because it can. and not because those variables are all out there existing anyway. It's going to do it only because you're expecting it to. Simple as that. That's the placebo effect. You're expecting it. Without expecting something, nothing's going to occur. Therefore, there's no placebo involved. But if you are expecting things to change for yourself, then they will, because the oversoul will reflect that back as circumstance. The placebo effect has taught us basically that where the mind goes, the body follows. And that is as simple as I can put it, as far as the ability to manipulate our holospheric reality, which we call the physical world, and bring those things into contact with us that we most earnestly desire or want or believe that are attainable to us. It is that simple. And the placebo effect is our direct evidence, our daily evidence happening all around us in all echelons of society. That is our evidence on a daily basis that what I'm telling you right now is absolutely true. That we forge our own realities by what we believe and expect to happen. And then we move forward, allowing, basically, you can call it the universe, you can call it the oversoul, you can call it God, whatever. Allowing the matrix to build it for you. Because if you think, remember, if you think you got to build it, then you're not in a relationship at all. Yeah, that's ego talking. He said, you're in a relationship with the oversoul, which makes you a co-creator. If you're a co-creator, then that means the burden is not on you to finish anything. The burden is on you to begin. You got to start something and then start heading in the direction for a follow through, and the relationship kicks in and the oversoul builds it for you. And this is why when you're vibrating on the right frequency and you're moving forward and you're attracting all the things in your life that you want, this is why by the time you get many of the things that you want, and I'm living this, guys, I've been living it for a while now, when you get, they've lost their value to you because now you've set your sights on something bigger and started moving in that direction. And then that comes to you as well. And then you realize once you obtained it, wow, it doesn't even have that intrinsic value it used to have on me 3 months ago when this was my goal. And then I've already got my mind set on this, and this, and these objectives and these projects and these things I want to accomplish. And now I accomplish them and they do them and they pass through me as experiences because I'm done with them. But they were so important to me months ago when I set things in motion. When we're vibrating on the right frequency, when we get the very things we desire, they're no longer of that same value they were at the inception. And that's growth. That's how you want to be. They're still enjoyable, but that importance doesn't attach anymore. And what you think is important in your future that has not yet caught up to you, you've built it up in your mind. That's what you really want. It's what this is where you're heading and all that. And then when you get it, it no longer has that hold on you. You've already mentally projected other things that you're moving in that direction to. This is life. This is the mode you want to be in. Because every day is a new experience, new things come into your life weekly, and it's a beautiful thing. But this is when you're vibrating on the right frequency. So that's my presentation on the placebo effect. There's no need to draw this out into a 2-hour presentation. It's very simple. The placebo effect is real. It is scientifically documented. It affects almost every aspect of the human experience, and therefore, if the lie can be turned into the truth by simply acting on it, then you need to use that in your daily life, because what's not true are the things that you want in life that you don't have. But what can become true are those very things that you don't have but you want. And by moving forward, acting as if they already exist, because they do, they're just not in your possession, then the co-creator relationship kicks in. The informed field has done everything that it can to build the picture and then begin moving in the direction it needs to go. And now it is time for the relationship to kick in. Now the simulacrum, which is a finger of the oversoul, will begin to reach down and knit the circumstances in your life to bring to pass the very things that were once a lie so they can become your truth. That's my presentation, and I'm totally cool with some Q&A as soon as I drink this tea. And look at this chat. Let me look at this chat. Act as if you are, and you will be. Yes, sir. Thank you, Victoria. Yes, it should broaden your perspective. Placebo effect. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. It's a lot to it. And yes, it can be weaponized, but I don't recommend that. What I recommend is for you to use it as a tool for your own personal life. Now, I'm going to tell you now on the Aggie, A-G-G-Y. Listen, you're not going to see Graham Hancock and I on a podcast talking about. Now, we may end up in a podcast in the future. I wouldn't doubt that, talking about other topics. But you will never see that man go on a debate with me about Atlantis being 9,500 BC, because I'm telling you now, Graham Hancock is an intelligent guy, and he knows he would never win that argument, ever. Especially, he would never even put himself on a podcast with me if that was the only subject matter, 9,500 BC Atlantis, because his people would make sure he watched my 3 or 4 Atlantis videos before they even allowed him in the room with me. And once he did that, he would realize, okay, well, I got to talk to this guy about something else, because I promise you, he's never gonna do a debate on 9,500 BC Atlantis. He can talk for hours, though, about something bad happened in 9,500 BC, and that is a discussion I could care less about, because I'm pretty sure something happened in 11,000 BC that was terrible too, and something happened in 7,000 BC that was terrible too, and I'm pretty sure that there's about 550,000 terrible things that have happened between now and 11,500 BC. None of that shit concerns me. I don't care. The issue is the man has millions of people listening to him, and he has said hundreds of times out of his mouth some of his evidence for the 11,000 BC narrative, 9,500 BC narrative. He quotes Plato. He quotes the Atlantis story, but he doesn't tell the truth. He doesn't tell the details that I exposed in that video the other day, and that is a problem for me. It's not a problem for him because he don't give a damn. I don't put him in the same category as like David Hatcher Childers. I don't. To me, Graham Hancock is he's a member of the establishment. He started off as a journalist. I believe that he's taken funding from like the Rockefellers, and that right there is a red flag. I say, why would you take their money? So I'm yeah, I'm just not worried about. You're not going to see he and I. He would never do that. He wouldn't do that. It would be a fool's move. All it would do is blow me up and make him look really bad. It really would. Now, Graham Hancock and I can talk about some other things. Yeah, and Dustin Kirk. Yeah, Billy Carson, he can say anything he wants to about Atlantis. So if he believes Atlantis is 9,500 BC, you can tell him in an email that Jason of Archaix is calling him out. Yeah, he wants to debate that 9,500 BC Atlantis crap. Yeah, I'm trying to hear it. I'm not trying to hear that. Yeah, Martin Leidke, I guess that's how you say his name. He and I are doing a podcast real soon. Okay, Oh, this is a good question. Listen. At 4:05, Christine Mose. When does the placebo effect hit the hard edge of the code, the simulacrum? Listen, guys, the placebo effect is no different than what I've told you many times in the past in my presentations. You can believe what you want to believe. You can build a mental picture. You can even project that mental picture out there, and none of that's going to ever bring anything into your reality. Nothing. The key component that's missing is your physical avatar must move in the direction. When it comes to the placebo, what's happening? The physical avatar swallows the pill, takes the medicine, purchases the very thing that they think is all hype and all that. It's a commiserating act in the physical world that empowers the placebo phenomenon. It's the same thing I've been telling you guys on how to create your own reality. You build the mental picture. You're a co-creator. You build that mental picture, then you let go of it. Because if you dwell on it, it's never going to reflect it back to your circumstance. Let it go and start moving in the direction of to fulfill that. Your physical activities must in some way support your mental activity. They have to commiserate. Once that relationship between the physical and the mental is met in the personal, that's when the simulacrum instantly, if you're talking about hitting the code, that's when the simulacrum will instantly begin to knit those things into your existence. How fast that happens depends on you and your belief. Like I said, if the end is secure, every step leading up to it is secure as well. And if the end is secured, how many steps are necessary completely depends on you. Because if you believe that time will have to elapse before these things can come to pass in your life, then I promise you time is going to elapse. And if you believe opposition exists, then opposition will appear. So, hell yeah. Good question. Rosie Hayes, I understand. Joe Rogan can make it happen. You say Rogan had Hancock and one of his haters on before, and that was so good. Listen, the problem is with Joe Rogan, I would be on a podcast with a sympathizer. If you not heard how many hundreds of times Joe Rogan has agreed with the 9,500 BC Atlantis deal and all this stuff, he's 100% on board with what Hancock's telling him. So it's not him being an impartial mediator. No, it's not him being an impartial mediator at all, which isn't a deal killer for me. I'm just saying the equity's not there. It's not a deal killer because if Joe Rogan invited me onto his podcast and told me that me and Graham Hancock were only talking about Atlantis in 9,500 BC, I promise you I'll be there. But it's not the same dynamic. Joe Rogan is not impartial at all. Not anymore. He's promoting that whole Egypt is 9,000-year-old crap. He was just talking this morning about the Sphinx temple is evidence of 10,000 BC because of the water erosion. And it's not. I have two videos explaining the water erosion on the Sphinx. The water erosion on the Sphinx and the Valley Temple and the Sphinx Temple is very definitive because we have it in the historical record. Egypt was underwater for 340 years. Of course there's going to be water erosion. Why wasn't the water erosion seen on the Great Pyramid then? Good question, because it was. And it was documented 980 years ago by Muslim geographers who saw that the ancient ocean level was stained halfway up the Great Pyramid's white, glistening casing blocks. But what happened? Somebody removed those casing blocks. They're gone. Now you see limestone blocks going up. But in the Muslim books, those were still there. In the days of Strabo, those white casing blocks were still there. In the days of Ammianus Marcellinus, those white casing blocks were still there. In the days of Diodorus Siculus, those white casing blocks were still there. In the days of Herodotus of Halicarnassus, those white casing blocks were still there. In the days of the Muslims, Al-Biruni in his book, The Wonders of Ancient Nations, cites the ancient ocean line. In the days of Al-Biruni 980 years ago, those white casing blocks were still there. Who removed them and why? Because those white casing blocks are the reason why the Great Pyramid was preserved when it was underwater. Simple as that. The Sphinx never had casing blocks, therefore it took water damage. The Valley Temple never had casing blocks, therefore it took water damage. Everywhere around Egypt is all the evidence that the entire landmass was covered in seashells in the days of Frederick Norden Lewis, 1700s. I read the book. He saw nothing but seashells. And anybody who's ever seen the illustrations from the French Napoleonic army in the Battle of the Pyramids, when they went to Egypt and they began excavating, you will notice that all the pyramids were halfway buried in sand. This is just 300 years ago. So, and those temples weren't even unknown until the Egyptians cleared all the sand out. Hell, one of them wasn't even found until the 1920s. Guys, listen, all this makes totally sense with the historical record. But the historical record, as I've uncovered it and documented in my Chronicon and in my published books and in my videos, is not the history that Graham Hancock and his ilk are promoting. It's not. And there's absolutely no evidence whatsoever of any human civilization in 11,000 BC, in 10,000 BC. So this is all hyperbole. It's terrible, trash, shoddy scholarship. And you have to understand, Joe Rogan, Graham Hancock, Billy Carson, Randall Carson, they are not authorities on these subjects. Anthropology and archaeology and history, the whole scientific community is completely against all these things these men say. And the reason is because there is no evidence of human infrastructure prior to 3700 BC. None. Nothing. There's no cities, no canal works, no infrastructure. There's nothing. 3700 BC is still within 6,000 years. There's not a trace evidence anywhere in the world of a civilization that goes back beyond that. None. And all these little I can't even pronounce it, Göbekli Tepe or whatever, they're not even that old. Remember, just because something is buried in dirt is not evidence of antiquity. When you find the exact same symbols at Göbekli Tepe that you find in other ancient ruins that only date a couple thousand years, we have a problem. We have a real big problem. When you have Sumerian symbols that are known to be 27th, 26th, 25th, and 23rd century BC, less than 5,500 years ago, when you know these Sumerian symbols, they're everywhere in Near Eastern iconography, and then you see them at Göbekli Tepe, how in the hell can you bridge that 8,000 years? How can you just all of a sudden date this at this date and ignore 8,000 years where not a single artifact or anything's ever been found to link the two? Easter Island has 550 something giant head statues. Now we know they're attached to bodies. When you dig down on the back of the bodies, the same symbols on the back of those statues are at Göbekli Tepe. The ones in Easter Island have been affirmatively dated by scientists to only be less than 2,000 years old. So we have some massive discrepancies in all this stuff they're promoting. That's neither here nor there. People are going to believe them anyway. They got millions of people. It's just like Graham Hancock and all them. They're the new ABC, NBC, and CBS of alternative archaeology. That's who they are. And, they can have that. They can have that throne. Because I know, I am convinced by virtue of the comments, the comments section and the emails that I get, I am convinced that there is a higher level of intellect involved in the scrutinizing of the Archaix material in the Archaix family. Do you know how many fact checkers I have? Do you have any idea how many people are always looking for little details to see if there's discrepancies or see if there's anything wrong? You have any idea? Yeah. What other YouTube channel goes through what I go through? Hyper scrutiny. I got people going through everything. You know what? I invite that. But you know what? I've called out a lot of people too, and not one person's met me halfway. So I invite the scrutiny, but it's because I know that in the Archaix family, I have more intelligent triers of fact here than when I go scrolling through the comment sections of other YouTube channels and I'm like, wow, are you serious? It's like people are believing things that have absolutely no substance. And I look at these comment sections and I'm disgusted. I said, wow, this is amazing. It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing what people will accept as true. It's amazing without doing any type of research, just total at face value accepting what somebody says is true. Because the vast majority of other YouTube channels that I have seen, they're not showing you any actual evidence. They're promoting ideas and theories. They're promoting ideas and theories. That's it. They're not really applying any standards, and that's cool. Not all of them, but it's just, it gets really ridiculous. So yeah, Graham Hancock and all of them. I mean, they're so weird. It's so weird because they cherry pick 100%. They cherry pick what scientific model they want to use to promote whatever they want to use. Let me give you an example. I'll give you a perfect example. Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson, all these guys that are putting out this material about 9,500 BC and 10,000 BC cataclysm and all that. You guys know that standard archaeology and Scientifica doesn't accept their conclusions. And yet, they're uniformitarians. Go figure. Graham Hancock still cites carbon-14 and potassium-argon dating and ice core samples and dendrochronology, and every bit of that can be thrown out the window. Every bit of it. Still applying uniformity. If Ice Age comes out of your mouth, you're a uniformitarian. It's as simple as that, because none of that's provable. None of that's provable. Ice Age is such a ridiculous notion. We have an entire southern hemisphere full of marsupial creatures that cannot survive an ice age. But we had ice ages. We've got all kinds of flora and fauna in this world that could have never survived an ice age, but they're here. So the whole thing's just ridiculous. It's all glaciation, and even the glaciation models are very off. But to be a uniformitarian, to cite relative dating methods, to even try to tell me something happened in the Younger Dryas. When you were born in the 21st century or in the 20th century. Every single person that we could ever talk to in this world was born in the 20th or the 21st century. You weren't there. Nobody even knew what a Younger Dryas was 150 years ago. Somebody made it up. Yeah, so they attach all this significance to this Pleistocene and this Eocene and this Miocene, and they had this whole compartmentalized deal. But I've showed you guys in videos where Leakey on an excavation just invented the pre-pottery Neolithic because she couldn't make sense of the fact that she couldn't find any pottery, but it was definitely a Neolithic site because she was excavating Jericho. She just made it up. Well, this must be the pre-pottery Neolithic. It sounded so good to the establishment because it promoted the idea of hundreds of thousands of years of development of humans, which is all untrue. So they ran with it. In the 1950s, they added pre-pottery Neolithic. Since then, they've added a whole bunch of other things, but that's what they are. These accretions are just the imaginative musings of the scientific world as they put together this falsified version of reality. So when Graham Hancock and them guys are talking about Younger Dryas and all that, these are invented. There's no history. There's absolutely nothing supporting a Younger Dryas, an Ice Age, an Older Dryas, or any of that. It's all made up. And it's made up from a model that promotes the idea and the irony that the very people speaking about that model are descended from monkeys. And yet, through all these ice ages, Africa is still full of monkeys. So every bit of it's bullshit. It's all invented, and you can't take it seriously. And they cherry pick which scientific model they want to use to promote whatever they need to promote. And this is called the practice of exclusions. It's ridiculous. How do you debate somebody like that? How? You can't even stick with a model. Oh, it's ridiculous. There I go. I'm ranting again. There I go. Jamie Robbins, younger who? It's funny. Yeah, the whole thing is just ridiculous. And listen, man, quit citing Billy Carson. Billy Carson is not on the level of Graham Hancock. Nowhere close. Nowhere close. Now, he may have put together better pieces than Graham Hancock does. When it comes to his education and his contacts and his worldwide footprint, Graham Hancock is untouchable. Billy Carson's not even in his league. But Graham Hancock doesn't really focus on Anunnaki. He doesn't talk about all that. And that I applaud him for not buying into that Zecharia Sitchin paradigm. But when it comes to Billy Carson, oh yeah, he's hook, line, and sinker a front man for the falsified chronologies of Zecharia Sitchin's Earth Chronicles series. Yeah. But none of those Sumerian numbers are hundreds of thousands of years. They're all measured in day count systems. And yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah. I can't even wrap my mind around somebody who would actually believe that somebody could live for 48,000 years. Oh yeah, this Sumerian god right here, he lived for 48,000 years, and then he stepped down from the throne, and this Sumerian god got up and he ruled for 16,800 years. Are you serious? It boggles my mind that people buy into this. I see 7920. Meryl Gigi, she's throwing that Anunnaki number out. 792. Meryl, when I published my material on the dark satellite, I was believing that we lived in a real Newtonian system. I no longer believe that. I'm a simulationist now. All my published books were published before I had adopted simulation theory. You will not find a hint about simulation theory. And man, I got a lot of published books. All of my books. There isn't a single book I have except the last one, Awaken the Immortal Within, where I do discuss it a little bit. But no, all my original published books, and I was putting all this together from all the ancient records, I was still believing that Phoenix and the Nemesis X object were intruder planets, and that the dark satellite was a moon of Nemesis X, and this is why they maintain that perfect periodicity. But then I have since had to basically reassess because the arithmetic is too perfect. It's way too perfect. One of the worst things, one of the most critical things that damages that we are in a planetary system model is the event 713 BC. And this is in my Anunnaki Homeworld and my book, Astonishing Secrets of Antiquity. Listen, there's no way. I have so much data sets on what the old world's calendar was 360 days. And there's many different calendars, all different types of calendars, and you can factor them in all different ways. But in every single one of them, the common denominator is that there was 360 days a year until the year 713 BC, when the Assyrians recorded something. The mandate of heaven had altered and changed. And in the Bible, we find in the days of Hezekiah and the prophet Isaiah that the sun stopped moving in the sky, and then it went in retrograde 10 degrees, and the sundial of Ahaz showed on the shadow. It went back 10 degrees, and the king was scared, and he called for the prophet, and Isaiah showed up and told him that basically interpretation of a judgment of God, and that Hezekiah had been forgiven by God, but he would suffer some type of punishment for some trespass he had done. And at the exact same time that the sundial went in reverse, 185,000 Assyrian soldiers led by the Assyrian monarch Sennacherib were vaporized in their armor. This was from a flux tube blast from the sky. Now, that was the dark satellite. And it wasn't the first time. The dark satellite had been seen in 1899 BC as well. This was the Tower of Babel incident. It also been seen in 76 AD. This was a great javelin in the sky that was seen over the Mediterranean. And there's been other episodes where it's been seen, but it returns in 2052. I used to think it was a moon, but that was before I had really assessed this data. All this material about all, I have chapters full of data that the world's calendars were all based off 360 days, and that an event in 713 BC changed every calendar in the world at the same time. And within 3 years, every culture in the world changed their calendars to 365 days. Some of them employed the 365.25 within 100 years after that. They had calibrated. Now, two different data sets, and both of them are true. Before 713 BC, the whole world had a 360-day calendar. That's why the Vedic calendar is the way it is. That's why the Kali Yuga is a calendar. Every single number in the entire Hindu system, every number is divisible by 360. Every single number in the Quiche, Zapotec, Olmec, and Mayan calendars are all divisible by 360. 144,000 days is a single Bacton. 13 Bactons is the length of the Mayan long calendar. That's 1,872,000 days, and it's perfectly divisible by 360. It's 52 centuries, precisely. Under that system, 360 days. All the entire Sumerian king list. Look at every one of those numbers. All the numbers of all the regnal of the kings that ruled Shurapak, Bad Tabira, Larak. Go through all 5 cities of the Sumerian Pentapolis. Look at the regnal list. Every number is divisible by 360. The reason is because it was the only year known before that date. But the 360-day year collapsed because something happened. And now the stellosphere moved slower. Now, I could actually interpret that if I believed we lived in a planetary system. I could interpret that as our world was pushed just slightly away from the sun, creating more of an elliptical. Instead of a circular orbit, an elliptical orbit, which it lengthens the year. It would add 5.25 days to the year. And this is the model that the sky wants us to believe by its movement. I no longer believe the sky is real. I believe it's holographic. I believe it's designed to deceive us. Two data sets are absolutely real. Both of them can be proven, and I'm willing to debate anybody on it. The ancient year was 360 days. The new year is 365.25. Now, the real problem is that the Phoenix phenomenon occurs every 138 years. The real problem is that the dark satellite has a very certain periodicity of 400 and something years. I can't remember, and another real problem is the Nemesis X object has never changed. It is 792 years. Its periodicity unbroken. Phoenix every 138 years. Nemesis X every 792 years. The Mayan long count. All these systems cross over that 713-year period deal. And that's where the problem lies, because the Phoenix phenomenon still happens every 138 years, no matter how many days are in that year. Huge clue here as to what's happening in the sky. The Nemesis X object still appears on schedule perfectly in the year it's supposed to, and it doesn't even matter how many days are in the year. The dark satellite does the same thing. 3 objects with a very long periodicity before the introduction of the new year. This is not possible in a real Newtonian universe. It's not possible. The 138-year orbit of Phoenix would have started changing after 1,000 years. It'd be 5 or 6 years off. It would completely change. But it didn't. With perfect synchronicity, it still appears in the year. Not only that, but it still appears in the month of May. Impossible. Nemesis X object still appears in the month of November. Impossible. The addition of newer days would have totally changed them if they were true intruder planets, if they were true bodies. This is why all my videos talk about the hidden super construction in the sky. There's something hidden in the sky. And every once in a while, that power source goes down and people see what's really up there. And whatever it is, it creates the Phoenix phenomenon. It creates the dark satellite phenomenon. And it creates the Nemesis X object phenomenon. It's probably the same apparatus. The sky is a holofield hiding something else. That is the only thing I can think of. It's why I'm a simulationist now. Only in a simulation can two different mathematical systems actually comport and be a part of the same construct. At the same time, only in a holofield can two different observers being at two different coordinates experience the same phenomena. Only in a holofield can two different people looking at the same thing from different vantage points see totally different aspects of the same phenomena. It's the same thing with what's happening with the timekeeping. We're on different reality tunnels and trajectories, and the very fact that the ancient records call Phoenix the keeper of the calendar, and that a whole Egyptian temple and goddess was dedicated to the calendar, and it's the mansion of the Phoenix where the Bin stone was, and the patron goddess was Sekhmet, and she's the goddess of the calendar. The very fact that Phoenix was known to keep the calendar despite everything everybody else did. And remember the Egyptian Gnostic Coptic records, the Proteno, I can't remember, it's the Gnostic something Protenoi document, and on the nature of the universe or the origin of the universe document. Both of those documents are very real. They were discovered in 1947 in the Egyptian Coptic texts. And those texts name Phoenix. They call Phoenix basically the keeper and the steward against the powers of the archons. The archons are the manipulators of time. The archons are the manipulators of mankind. Phoenix was created to keep the structure. So that's why I'm a simulationist now, and that's why really all my older published books should be republished. There wouldn't be any changes to the Phoenix phenomenon. There wouldn't be any. There would just be much better books now because I have so much more new data. But I hope that answers your question, Merrill. Because yeah, it's a huge giveaway for two separate data sets to be absolutely true, and then a third data set also be true, but it can't be. Not if we're in a physical world, in a physical reality, and yet all three data sets are so widely supported. There's no way to disprove them. They're just too well documented. So, yeah, that's because we live in a holofield. Oh, let me see down here. Oh, I'm just reading some of these comments, guys. JFK wanted 7 days in the month of May to be made in 1967. Was he trying to correct an older calendar or something? I don't know about that. I do not know about that. Hey, thank you guys for those likes. I got over 1,000 likes. Man, somebody likes me. Tired of getting hated on. I'm glad somebody likes me. Phoenix Protocol. Let's see, I'm looking for a question. Questions in all caps, guys. Thanks for the reminder, Victoria. I forget to say that. I do forget to say that. The Slim Errant. All right, Slim. How can we educate people about the potential of the placebo effect to help them make positive changes in their lives and society? Listen, in past presentations, I have explained one of the fundamental aspects of our reality is that almost everything here is deception or a lie, and that we transmute these things into facts, into truths. But it's almost as if we live in the photo negative of a real reality, and it seems like lies are more powerful here than the truth. So this is what the placebo effect is as well. Trying to convince somebody of the placebo effect is nowhere near as powerful as deceiving them into believing in a placebo. Big difference. Placebo effect is real, but it requires a modicum of deception. Now, this is where morality comes in. Is it okay to tell a lie when the result is going to be a good or the truth? This is something you need to wrestle with on an own personal level. But that's exactly what a placebo is. No matter how many people have been healed with placebos, no matter how many, it was a lie that led to the benefit. You got to remember this, guys. Remember, I have a Dark Scriptures playlist that goes into a lot of detail about reinterpreting exactly what was happening in those biblical stories. Remember, Jesus's most powerful messages were lies. Oh yeah, I know some of you Christians want to burn me right now, but I'm telling you, the parables are the most spiritual thing you can find in the Bible. Those parables are deep. Jesus spoke all these parables and told, but every single one of those stories is a fiction. And no matter how you want to interpret it, that means they're not factual. Therefore, they are a lie. Not that he's trying to fib. He's just giving examples. But we have to reduce everything to its lowest common denominators to be able to ascertain the phenomena that's unfolding. Jesus spoke parables, which are only images of truth. They're not the real truth. They're just images. And being only images, they're fictions. They're not the real truth, and fictions are lies. So, a placebo has the best intent, but it requires telling a lie in order to get somebody to accept and put themselves in the position of receiving the benefit. Remember, I said that when you read Genesis 1 and Genesis chapter 2 concerning the serpent. Let's see. I seen Meryl, I'm so sorry for your loss. What happened, Meryl? I just looked at my emails. I didn't get an email from you. Something bad happened? Please let me know. Meryl has become a great friend. I can't see anything. I can't scroll all the way back up, so I must have missed something. Starling Go, Jason and Jordan Peterson. I would like to talk to Jordan Peterson. It would not be the type of conversation you're thinking, like, as if a debate. It wouldn't be a debate. It wouldn't do. I would just shoot the shit with him. I have a lot of respect for him, and I hope he doesn't get any trouble for making the stands that he's made, because that would be some bullshit. Oh, I'm looking for something to comment on. Square Peg, what are you saying? Have you seen 1964 movie 7 Days in May? I've never seen that movie. Just watched the trailer, huh? Square Peg, there's a whole new way of looking at the Phoenix phenomenon that I've had to go back into my notes, and I found some really interesting stuff. Listen, in my research, I have omitted details about the year 1627, 1765, and 1903. When I do my Phoenix phenomenon charts and all that, I omit those, and I don't know why. I don't know why I have omitted so much fantastic Phoenix phenomenon data. No, those aren't Phoenix years, according to the calendar that we use. But the Phoenix is on a different calendar, and I do not know why I have never taken this into consideration until recently. But the Phoenix phenomenon is from May to May. The Phoenix year is from May to May. So half of little over half of 1902, and then the first 5 months of 1903. And man, When you look at it like that, and then you look at the first 5 months of 1765, oh my God. You can see all kinds of Phoenix phenomenon material, all the edits. It's crazy. It's crazy. There's so much of Charles Fort that I had omitted. I didn't care about anything he said in 1903. I stuck with 1902, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have recorded all of it. I am now. I'm going back through all my notes now, putting all these other things in perspective because I forgot, man. I mean, it's just like the count. It's just like the Roman calendar. The old calendar is very different than the calendar we're on now. You guys already know that the actual, I've told you many times, the reason why we have September, October, November, December, which is 9, 10, 11, and 12. September, October, November, December. However, the names of the months are 7, 8, 9, and 10. The actual Latin names of our months today are 7, 8, 9, and 10. But when it comes to the number of the months, it's the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th month. How is that? Because January was the 11th month. February was the 12th month. The end of February was New Year's. The ancient world's New Year's was in March. So anyway, it's it's really interesting. So yeah, for those of you real thick on the Phoenix phenomenon, you got to look at the first half of 1903 and 1765 because the Phoenix year is May to May. I don't know why I've never put that. Even Nostradamus said it was May, and I don't know why I didn't look at it that way. And remember, Martinique, Mount Pelée in Martinique, it blew up and killed like 35,000 people in the month of May. All those weird ass things happened in the month of May. Jahar Lee just posted my Phalorn saga. For those of you who don't know, I have another channel. It's got 4,000 subs, but I've already got 2 books. I've already got 2. Here's the other book right here. I'm about to upload this. There's 26 episodes right here I'm about to upload. This is Phalorn Saga. But it's about a fairy apocalypse. Some people in the chat, they can tell you they read it or they listened to it, but I'm reading the chapters of my epic fantasy series. Chinese New Year is still in February. Look at that. Look at that. Yes, the placebo effect. Oscar, you're right. The placebo effect is definitely a clue that we live in a simulation. Absolutely. Absolutely. It shows you that what you have accepted to be true can be modified. 100%. You got stomach pains 2 or 3 times a week, and no diagnosis has ever resulted in you receiving the medication that would bring relief. And this goes on for years, and you got a stomach pain, and this is going on, and this is something that's become part of your reality. And then somebody tells you something, and in hope and faith, the information they gave you was so profound. You just know that, man, if you can just get it to that medicine, and they make it difficult for you to get it, but finally you get access to it. And when you get it and you take it, and all of a sudden, man, your little stomach problems go away. And they didn't give you nothing but some bullshit, but it still worked. When that happens, and we have it documented as happening multiple times with many different types of people, if it's true for one person, then it's true for all people. So if you can modify reality by believing in something, yeah, then there's no end to the things that you can believe about yourself. And one of those, and another way to apply the placebo effect is basically retrocausality. Because if I'm going to believe while my stomach hurts right now that my stomach's not going to hurt, if I do something, and then I do it, and my stomach doesn't hurt anymore, if I'm going to do something like that, then why not? Who says I have to restrict the perimeters of my experience in the present? Why not go ahead and believe that a certain situation began developing in my past, and then paint a mental picture of exactly how that would have happened, and then believe the very fiction I just invented, and totally move forward as if it did happen. There's no difference. Not only can you create your own placebo effect, you can be the placebo. And then you can transmute a total fiction that you invented about your past into a present reality. Yeah, it's a retro causality. Believing in a false version of the past can create a real version of your future. Yeah, so yeah, we're dealing with things that are highly, highly specific to the spirit, because that's what a placebo effect is. It's 100%. It's spiritual. Only the spirit has the ability to change what is into what isn't, or what isn't into what is. So that's placebo effect is awesome, and I encourage people to do their own research, go into depth, and see all the other applications. Make it real to you. I mean, I know a bunch of my Archaix veterans. They already know this. I've mentioned placebo effect in the past, but I never went into detail. But it's a game changer, 100%. If a total stranger can feed you a lie and get you to act on that lie, and it results in good to you, then just lie to yourself. Just lie to yourself until the lie becomes the truth. Yes, sir. Oh, Victoria Cunningham, call those things that be not as though they were. That's right. Cite that scripture then. Scripture's got a lot of good in it, no doubt. Alfred, I believe we live in a thought field, and I believe that the elements of time, it's so hard. Talking about things in time space is far beyond my ability to present. I'm just not. I've read P.D. Ouspensky. I've read Frank Jacobs. I'm not. It's just. I just know that I'm here right now, and I know that I have memories of things in the past, and sometimes I believe I have memories of things in the future, but I do know that there are spells in my life when I can sit still, and the present isn't real to me anymore because I'm living by virtue of imagination. I'm living by the agency of memory. And sometimes when I'm not living in memory, my mind shoots forward, and now I'm living by virtue of imagination, and I'm living in the future, or I'm living in what I term as potentia. It's not future and it's not past. It's just potentially either. So I don't know. That's a good one. That's a good one. But yeah, there's another one. Fake it till you make it, or be like Nike. Just do it. All that. Just do it. Oh, I read that book. Graham Goodwin. I read it. Yeah, he's talking about He says NLP here, but it's called Neuro Linguistic Programming. I've read that. See, I just can't type, y'all. I did hear from Max Egan. He says, "Hi, Jason. Any word from Max Egan or Egan, or is he not on board?" Yeah, Max and I are all right. We did one video together, and a couple communications after that. But I believe Max moved. He relocated, and then he was having some problems with his emails and getting hacked and stuff like that. But Then he started some big project. And last time I heard from Max, he was involved in a large project, and he told me he'd get back with me later. I don't know what he was doing or who he's working on it with. I haven't heard nothing. Haven't heard anything. Mexican Max Egan. That's good stuff. I got whiskey and honey right here, Michael. I got some good whiskey. Oh, Max helped with Anarchapulco. I can't believe I said that right. That's good stuff. Mexicans got on boots. That's crazy. Yep. I don't think Max is allowed in the United States. I don't know. Four Jacks, I really don't know him, Martin Leakey, but he's got a great personality. Anybody with a positive message, I'll talk to. And from what I understand, he kind of started. Didn't he kind of start? Wasn't he one of the pioneers on like the flat Earth movement and like Tartaria? Wasn't he like one of the firsts? I know a lot of other people have come behind him and taken it to a whole nother level and all that, but I thought he was like one of the first in that. Sorry, word woman. I have not read Proverbial Philosophy by Tupper. I haven't read that book, so I don't know anything about it. Wow, you actually caught me with a book I ain't read. It's crazy. So my publisher contacted me by email the other day. He said, hey, somebody brought me a book. I'm going to give you first shot at it because it's absolutely amazing. So I said, okay, what kind of book is it? He says, well, first of all, I got to tell you, it's $600. I said, wow, what kind of book is that? He says, listen, you can go online and you'll find one more copy of this book for sale. And it too is $600. So I said, man, what kind of book is this? He said, listen, I don't understand why somebody did this or who did it, but the book is about 100 years old. And somebody traveled or somebody amassed all the data, but these are actual architectural schematics of all the ancient sites of the world. All the temples in Egypt, all the places, all the temples in Greece and Roman temples and like the Colosseum. Somebody traveled widely in Mexico, the pyramids, different structures. He said, it's almost as if somebody was trying to preserve the knowledge of how to rebuild all these ancient structures. These are very meticulous, very scientifically precise architectural drawings. He says this book is very old. It is packed full of these architectural diagrams and descriptions of the actual building materials as well. He says, I couldn't think of anybody else but you who'd probably want this book because this seems like it needs to go in your post-reset collection. Because he knows I got my part of the Archaix library is a post-reset section. Here, all the volumes or books that are absolutely necessary for the new world to rebuild and continue on. And so if there's a total collapse of infrastructure, this is the library you need to start over or to preserve the things that we have. So I couldn't believe it. Yeah. So I'm buying the book. I have to. I can't let that. I looked it up and eBay. There is a copy of one, and it's amazing. The book is amazing. But I'm gonna go ahead and take that off his hands. He's holding it for me right now. I can't let that pass up. That's something of that magnitude. That's something that I have to read it just to understand what was on the mind of the man who amassed all this data. Was he like me? Was he really trying to put all this data together too? And you guys know you're going to see it. A book like this, I'm going to show it on YouTube. You know I am. But it just shocks me that somebody had went through all this trouble to put all this material together. I need to know, man, were you preparing for destruction of the world? What prompted this man to put this giant book together? So, yeah, I can't wait to see it. Our world is not what you think. You're absolutely correct. Okay, Slim Errant, you're still missing. You're still missing a key, vital piece of what I'm talking about. You said, so placebo effect is belief, perception, or suggestion with a question mark. You're missing out on it. Listen, the physical avatar must do something in the physical world to move into the direction that commiserates whatever with the belief was. So when it comes to placebo effect, the belief is that this thing I'm ingesting is going to do what this person told me it's going to do, or this company told me it's going to do. So you've invested your belief in this object. But if you don't swallow, you don't go through the actual motions, you haven't done anything. Your belief is attached to ingesting it. Therefore, it must be ingested. And that is, in the very act of swallowing it, is your physical avatar moving in the direction that it needs to go to bring it to pass, the belief to pass. There must be a physical action of the human body and all things in order to bring anything to come to pass. You gotta move in the direction. You don't have, like I told you, you do not have to finish anything. That's not what the relationship is about. You have to initiate. It's got to be mental, it's got to be spiritual, which is belief, and it's got to be physical. And then that's that. The placebo effect is no different than the other methods I've been employing on my own channel. It's no different. It's just the delivery is different. But yeah, it's got to have, the physical body must do something in tandem. I have a lot of videos on this. I have a lot of my podcasts discuss this as well. Because I have a We Immortals playlist, but really it's my live videos and my podcasts that go into the most detail on that phenomenon. Oh, I'm just looking at these. Oh, okay. Wick News, Mud Flood, Flat Earth, and Antiquity architecture. Okay. That was Martin. That was Martin. I knew it was something. I knew he pioneered something. He was like one of the first. I knew it had something to do with that. Yeah, Crow Rising. I need to know where that picture came from. You're gonna drive me crazy trying to figure out where all those old pictures from the 1500s you found. William Gibson. Max introduced me to your channel. Yeah, Max spoke highly of Archaix in the channel, and he had a bunch of haters hating on him too about it. They got on his ass, man, about promoting me. That's happened a lot of times. I've done podcasts with people in the past that just dropped off. I get no emails from them, no shout outs. They don't ever appear in the chat anymore. Yeah, and it's because of the peer pressure. It's because other channels that they've done a lot of work with, basically, called them out on it. Why are you talking to Archaix? Why are you talking to that old ex-con? Why are you talking to that anti-Christian heathen? And I'm not even anti-Christian. That's crazy. But yeah. Guys, I know a lot of you know because you've been following me for a while, but for the new people, I have never seen so many people who purport to be very spiritual to be so damning and so full of condemnation for others. I've taken a lot of hate on YouTube. Yeah, a lot of hate. And they want to use the excuse of my incarceration and my crimes at 17 years old. They want to use that excuse. But the real essence here is that hate is already inside them. They know, some of them are listening to me now. That hatred, I mean, these are guys that have channels that purport to be spiritual. But when it comes to talking about JasonArchaix, you can see the venom come out. But I'm telling you, it's not me causing that. that darkness is already there. Something about me drew it out. So yeah, I'm gonna come across this for the rest of my life. It's gonna be over and over and over. Yeah, man, I'm not even worried about it. I'm not worried about it because almost every single channel that's ever attacked me lost subs, lost credibility, and now they're all subbed to each other because no one else will listen to them. It's crazy. But yeah, there's a lot of people, man, that I have done podcasts with that went radio silent on me because of peer pressure from some of these other YouTube channels. Yep. David Weiss is one of them. Shoot, I've never spoken to the man, nothing, but he and I were scheduled to go on David Nino Rodriguez channel. Nino was going to moderate, and David Weiss and I were just going to shoot the shit. I had already sent an email to David Weiss and Nino saying, hey, I have no intention of debate. I have no intention of being argumentative. I said, I am genuinely wanting to talk about the similarities between flat earth concept and simulation theory. I'm not with the argument. I'm not with any of that shit. About 3 hours before our podcast, Nino just sent me a text. I got Nino on my phone. He just sent me a text. Say, hey man, I'm sorry, man, but David Weiss pulled out. I said, okay, it's cool. You know, I don't mind talking about it now because I'm always going to tell the truth. You know what I mean? I wasn't told it was going to be a secret anyway, but the man pulled out and never even sent me a letter of apology. Never sent me an email and said, hey, man, I'm sorry, man, this is what happened. Like, none of that. Just straight ghosted me like a whole lot of other YouTubers, but I don't care. I don't even care. Look where they're at. Look where I'm at. That's all that matters. So they can keep hating. Laura, I have that book. Wondering if you saw Thomas Short's A General Chronological History of the Air, Weather, Seasons, Meteors. Yeah, 1749. Laura, thank you. I have that book, and it was one that I wanted to show on my channel. I have a lot of old books I want to do videos on, and I have been doing videos on them, but it's going to take some time. But that's one I want to get into. It's a work of chronology as well. All that tea wearing off. Yeah, I know Wildwoods. I know Kimberly. I heard one of them call me the Antichrist. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Crazy. Started this channel from a wooden shack. I had over, what was it, 300. I had over 300 videos before I got my first podcast and started growing. It's crazy, man. But all of a sudden I'm mainstream. All of a sudden I'm the enemy. That's, you know what? It's just so ridiculous. YouTube is full of so many children. You guys know that. It's crazy, man. Sometimes I feel like I get on YouTube, I'm in high school. I'm looking for a question. I see a lot of comments. Oh, it's not just me being attacked, guys. You guys are too. Hell yeah. Pay attention. Some of those attacks are not against me. They're against errants. Trying, you know, several of them have tried to call Archaix a cult and stuff like that. I mean, that never really attaches because when intelligent people come to the channel and they see the dialogue and they listen to the deal, they realize there's nothing cultish about it. So really, I'm really surprised this many people follow the channel because my very first 3 videos, I was very specific. Archaix is not for everybody. It says it's going to take a higher level of intelligence to process the information that's being revealed on this channel. I said, this is not the channel for the mainstream. It is not. I said all that from the very beginning. So I'm really tickled to death that so many people have not only stepped in to help, donate. People have funded a whole, I had a whole trip funded. It was donations and some of my PDF sales of charts and books that paid for the whole trip to California and back. And I took detours. It took me 12 days to get back. But yeah, it's crazy. It's a beautiful thing. Decoding waters above Archaix was awesome. Would love some. Man, you know what? I thought it was just a regular average conversation, man. But I read the comments. I was like, wow, you guys really liked that video. I guess we're going to have to do it again. Oh, that's what it is, Shiva. David Weiss is good buddies with Owen. Yeah, Owen was one of my attackers. He was telling people on YouTube he wanted to beat me up. Then he told people he wanted to kill me. So I had people record the video and send it to me. I was like, man, I'm just going to leave this alone. I'm going to leave it alone. But him and another dude, Benjamin Balderson, I mean, really, I understand you're just talking and all that, but really, I spent 26 years in prison, maximum security. Do you really think I'm going to let you hit me in the face? What do you think is going to happen once you hit me one time? Really, just a reasonable just conclusion to that episode. Do you really think? I used to fight multiple men. I'm 225 pounds. If I hit somebody, they're gonna feel it. I just listen to these guys talking all this war talk. I'm like, man, really? It's crazy. On the cell block, it's the quiet guys that are the most dangerous. Anybody who's doing all that loud talking, man, they're the first ones to go down. First ones every time. So that's what it was, Shiva. David Weiss is good buddies with Owen. Okay, that's what it is. Yeah, man, it's crazy. I was thinking about going on all my haters. I was thinking about doing a little comment. Hey, man, I appreciate you guys for filling the ranks of Archaix with all the people that listened to you and came to my channel and found substance. And I thank you guys for showing the YouTube community the difference between winners and losers. Just to stir up the pot, because them hating on me actually did bring quality people to the channel. And I'm all for that. Duke Guilford, you really need to listen to some of my other podcasts. What happens when we escape the simulacrum for good? Listen, man, this is like one lily pad and a whole string of lily pads to get to this other vast gulf of a lake. Listen, man, the oversoul is eternal. And because the oversoul is eternal, that means the creation was not a singularity. It too is eternal. And because the creation is eternal, that means created worlds and created cosmoses or whatever never stop being produced. This means newer and newer immortal souls are entering the fray and being created. And that means there is more and more utility for those souls. And that means those souls need to be developed. They need to be passed through their purgatories in order to acquire all the things they need to acquire so they can inherit that eternal avatar rather than all the temporal ones of their training. Yeah, this is what we're going through right now, man. We're headed toward great things. And that's why there's nothing to fear here at all. At all. This is a beautiful experience. And it's all illusory. We're in no danger whatsoever. 2 videos ago, I even go into detail and show you guys where it shows in the alchemy that we're in no danger whatsoever. It's even the alchemists encoded that in their artwork. They knew we're avatars. Our souls are moored to God outside the construct. Therefore, like a puppet, we're still connected. We're still connected to source. No matter what happens in here, we're still connected to source. Therefore, we are protected. You're here to grow. You're here to learn. You're here to mature spiritually. You're here to grow into the immortal avatar that's been prepared for you. But you're not gonna receive that inheritance until you've earned it. And that means you might have several lily pads to hop. Yeah, Shiva, I agree. Sometimes you do a Mike Tyson, you bite someone's ear, and later you see that guy missing an ear, and you say, "Hey, I'm sorry, mate." I was the same way in prison. I used to have fights with guys, and then 3 or 4 months later, we're playing dominoes in the day room, or we're running laps together, or we're playing handball together. You forget that stuff. You let that stuff go, man. You let that stuff go. Somebody steals from you, somebody does something like that, it's harder to let go, and you probably stay enemies forever, But fist fights and stuff like that, men let that go quick. That's quick. Get it. 2 or 3 weeks later, you'd be in a chow hall sitting at the same table. Then you go to talking to each other because you both know you were fighting over some BS anyway. Let's see. Oh my God, 4Jacks, are you real? Tyson never bit anybody's deal off anymore, and that's become a part of the Mandela Effect phenomenon. Oh my God. That's a new one to me. For anybody who doesn't know, Shiva Shampoo right here in the chat is like the undisputed authority on amassing all the examples of Mandela Effect. It's amazing how many this man has compiled. And I am thoroughly convinced that the Mandela Effect is specifically designed by something outside the construct that's getting us to wake up. That's specifically choosing all the very things that we know were something else. So it would draw our attention to let us know, hey man, reality is being modified. You better wake up. Mandela Effect's amazing. I didn't even know how prolific it was until we had that Discord chat. That just blew my mind. Blew my mind. Man, I still got over 1,400 people hanging with me, and we've been done with this conversation, really. I appreciate it, guys. Hit that like button again. Share this video. Man, that's awesome. Whoa! Does Euler 2.718, the Euler number, feature an ancient sky frequency? Are you telling me that 2.718 is the Euler number? No way. I gotta look this up. Because you guys know, everybody who's an Archaix veteran, you guys know what those digits are. 2178. Total collapse of the simulacrum. Wow. The Euler number. Man, I gotta go look at that, man. Oh, there needs to be about 5 more me's, man, so we can put together some really good videos. One me ain't enough, man. I keep on coming up on roadblocks. Wow, that's amazing. All right, guys, it's been over 2 hours. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. My voice is held up. I'm glad. I'm going to finish this tea. I might throw some whiskey in it here in a minute. But, yeah, this whole video was prompted by a conversation with Dawn Hart. It really it floored me that in the middle of my statement, I literally stopped talking to her because I was in awe that we were talking about something that I had never before discussed on YouTube. I'm like, wow, I can't believe this. So this is why you got this video. This live came just, I was inspired, and that's what happened. Because I'm actually in the middle of reading a book from the 1860s explaining how the new scientific cult that was rising in those days was promoting lies. And this guy is really awesome. He's talking about all this evidence of ice ages and glaciations is untrue. He's saying, listen, every bit of this is because minor pole shifts flooded these areas. And he's showing exactly what he's talking about, showing that glaciers never deposited these boulders over mountain ranges from other mountain ranges. Only the force of water could have done that. So really good stuff. He's explaining basically in the 1860s how the scientific community was already being hijacked. Yeah. It's amazing. You guys know I love old books. Yes, I do. And when I get that book from my publisher, you guys are gonna see it right here on this channel because I'm gonna show those architectural schematics. That's gonna be amazing. The book's probably got some fascinating stuff in it as to why the man decided to do that and to actually record all this for the future posterity. I need to see his reasoning. It's probably gonna be fantastic. So I love you guys, and my email, anybody can find my email, but Booktree San Diego, that's it, Jamie Robbins. Until then, guys, I'm gonna sign out. I love you guys.